The BackBox Network Cyber Resilience Platform is based on three layers. The first of which is automated lifecycle management, and this one is pretty foundational. So the idea here being we can help you very quickly onboard new or existing devices, add them into inventory. As soon as they're in inventory, then BackBox has a very good view of how those devices look. We can collect things like vendor model versions, serial numbers, and we can be integrated with external CMDBs, for example, to give you almost real time updates into your inventory and asset management processes. From a backup and recovery perspective, every time we back up a device, we run through a five-step process to make sure that backup is good, it's restorable, it's recoverable. We'll add various checks and balances to alert you if something changes that we think you should be notified of. Upgrades and patching, once you've got your devices into Backbox and a part of into their operational life cycle, they're going to need to be upgraded and patched periodically, more often than you'd like to these days, because of the various vulnerabilities that seem to be being released daily or weekly. So we can take devices through simple one-off upgrade, for example, all the way through to very complex multi-step upgrades for HA pairs, including pre-checks, post-checks. We can chain all manner of tasks together to give you a very complete end-to-end workflow. We can also apply patches, so configuration changes, for example, if you need to update an NTP server, push out passwords to 1,000 devices, push out golden configuration. We can do all of those things. Basically, if you can do something from the CLI or web UI or API, then we can automate that for you. What that means is we can remove all of these cumbersome, time-consuming activities from your operations teams, free them up to do something a little bit more satisfying, a little bit more interesting, and we can automate all of this. So we can essentially increase your operational efficiency whilst reducing risk. It's a really great story. Okay, the second layer of the platform is configuration, compliance, and policy management. Source of truth is really around being the network source of truth. At Backbox, we like to think that we know the network better than anyone. And again, I mentioned we can integrate with external tool sets. So if you've got an enterprise-wide source of truth, we can integrate with that and keep you updated from a network and security perspective. Compliance and policy management really are geared around things like CIS NIST policy. So we have around about 2,000 pre-built automations in the platform today for compliance. If you're using your own internal hardening frameworks, then we can either write for you or help you write automations to measure against those. And from a compliance monitoring perspective, if anything changes in your compliance posture or status, then we'll notify you of that through various means. The top layer of the platform, network infrastructure integrity, this is largely around vulnerability intelligence and remediation. So we'll give you a very accurate and up-to-date feed of your current security risk in terms of CVEs that apply to your inventory. Because we take inventory, we know vendor model version every time we back something up. We can apply that to our database of CVEs that we scrape from all manner of sources, normalize the data, and apply it to your inventory, so we can give you a very quick and clear and concise view into your current risk. We can help you prioritize and understand where best to spend your time or have the ops team spend their time. And because we're an automation platform, we can take any of those CVEs and close those risks via automation. So that could be a patch or an upgrade, for example. We can do that automatically for you across a very large estate. So if you're operating at scale, we can really help you out. From a change monitoring perspective, if anything changes within your security posture from a vulnerability perspective, then we can and will notify you of that. And then device access is essentially a jump host functionality. We can give you very secure and audited access to any of the devices under management within Backbox, whether that's CLI, UI via a web browser. All of that is tracked, audited, and recorded, so you can go back and look at that anytime. We are a platform, so we've got a lovely homepage there that will give you a nice big zoomed out view of your current status. And just finally, we are entirely API driven, so everything you see within the UI shortly has an API endpoint behind it. We can and do expect to be integrated with all manner of external, adjacent, and complementary tool sets. so that we can really slot into end-to-end workflows within your enterprise. And welcome to the BackBox platform. This is the homepage that I mentioned earlier on. As you can see, we've got a few tiles here to give you, again, a very zoomed out, high level view of your current status. So from a device coverage perspective, what am I doing? What do I care about? How is my compliance looking across the devices that I've got under management? Some of these aren't being checked. That needs to be corrected. And from a vulnerability standpoint, where do I stand? How exposed am I? You can drill down into each of these. This is a great example of why this top level view is important. We can see that I've got 8 CVEs that are in the wild, so these are vulnerabilities that are currently being exploited today. So I probably want to click into here, have a look, understand that, and close those vulnerabilities. Now, if we think about the bottom layer of the platform that we discussed earlier on, and device onboarding, that was kind of the first thing that we do. As you can see here, I've got some jobs set up to go out and discover devices by various means, IP ranges, IP and net mask, device list by CSV, all manner of options there. But we can go in, we can discover devices, we can very quickly add them to BackBox, which means you can close your window of risk and increase your time to value. So a great advantage there for both enterprises and service providers alike. From a backups perspective, as mentioned, we back up devices. You can do this on a scheduled basis. You can also use event triggers. We can ingest syslog, SNMP, for example, and use those to trigger events like backups, compliance checks, etc. But in this case, I've got a schedule running. Let's have a look at this ASA. This has got a successful backup. I can jump into the history here, and I can see the history of my backups and various other jobs that are running on here. I can click in to this, what we call a trail log, and I can get a very detailed view into exactly what's been done throughout this backup. We do this for every automation that we run. We keep a very detailed log of everything that we do as we're operating on these devices. If we wanted to recover one of these devices, let me just pop back into there. Well, let's choose this MDS. I can just simply select a backup from 2 nights ago. I can click restore. We'll checksum all of those files. I can then click restore here, and this will be pushed out to that device. As you can see, those checksums are coming back clean. We know these files are good. That might take a while because the provider tarball is generally pretty big. So I'm going to come out of there. Okay, from upgrades and patching perspective, I'm going to drop into our automations library. This is where we keep, store, maintain all of the automations that ship with BackBox, and where you can keep your own. We've got various backup options here, 180 vendors out of the box, but tasks is where we want to go to look at things like upgrades and patching. Tasks are typically things that you want to do on a fairly regular basis, but not necessarily scheduled. So, this could be a one-off task like upgrading passwords across 1,000 devices. You can do this in minutes rather than hours, all the way through to a more complex workflow like taking an HA firewall pair, for example, through a multi-step upgrade, including pre-checks, post-checks, notifications, updating ITSM ticketing systems, for example. So just know that if there's something that can be done from the CLI, from the API, or from a web UI, then we can automate that for you and really unburden your teams and put them to work elsewhere. Now, if we pop up into the second layer of the platform, which is our compliance module, that's what we call IntelliChecks. Here we've got around about 2,000 pre-built compliance checks that ship with the platform today. These are largely based around industry standard benchmarks like CIS, STIG, PCI DSS. But you can run these regularly against each of your devices and get a very quick and clear view on your compliance status. This is a typical example of an email attachment that I would receive for a compliance check against the WLC that I have in my environment. We can see that we run 97 control elements against this device. 52 have passed, 45 have failed. Now I can look in here and I can see which ones have failed and why. This remediated is NA. Just know that we have an option to automatically remediate these for you should you decide to. Okay, up into the top layer of the platform now, and we'll look at vulnerability intelligence. As you can see here, we've got a really great quick view into your current risk and posture with each of your devices under inventory. As we saw in the homepage earlier, I'm not actually checking all of my devices for vulnerabilities. I should be, but I'm not. But I can get a quick view here. And as we said earlier on, every time we take a backup of your device, every time we touch a device, we take inventory. We can compare that inventory to our database of CVEs, which we scrape from all manner of sources. We'll give you a high level risk score here. So these devices are end of life. If there's an end of life date published in the past, we'll tell you and we'll simply mark it as end of life. We do still report on CVEs, but just know that there likely won't be any more security patches. So you need to refresh these devices. If there's an end of life date in the future, we'll tell you about that, and we'll just report as normal. And as you can see, I've got various devices in various different states here. I can pop into any one of these. Let's choose this ASA, and I can get a very quick view on each of the CVEs that apply to this device, the industry standard CVSS risk score, is it being exploited in the wild, and does the vendor publish a known workaround? So some really, really great information there, great contextual information as well. You can drill in and get even more information from this. If there's a workaround published, then we'll list it. This is if it's published by the vendor. You can also search the device's backed up configurations files to give you more context. So, is a particular service enabled or disabled, for example? If it turns out that you don't really care about this CVE for any reason, you can just mark it as mitigated. We'll move it into a mitigated list rather than just delete it from the system. So we do keep a record of that if and when it gets removed via remediated via an upgrade, a code upgrade, for example, then we'll remove it as no longer appropriate to your device. Okay, just finally, let's jump into the access module. So this is the jump host functionality that I mentioned before. From here, we can pop onto any device. So I'm going to choose this WLC. This will connect me automatically. That's not a standard configuration. It's a hidden option. But this will tell me that the session is being recorded. It will log me in. And from here, I can run commands as usual. Now, if I exit this, then that session is finished. But if I pop into my devices and the history of this device, I can see that there's a terminal session here. I can have a look at the log. I can see exactly what was run, including control characters for audit compliance reasons. I can get a human readable version of that, and I can also view or download a video of everything that happened here. So good for compliance, but also for training purposes. You could use this if you need to record videos and help train up new members of the team. And finally, on integrations, as I mentioned earlier on, we are API first. Everything you see in the UI has an API endpoint behind it. So we use these outbound API calls into various platforms and inbounds to help us integrate and provide a seamless experience across your entire enterprise. So today, you'll see here we have ServiceNow integrations with the ITSM module and the CMDB module. We have Meraki integration as well, so that we can discover, import Meraki devices and help you manage the lifecycle of those. And we're going to start expanding on this particular section, so you'll see things like Zscaler pop into here over time, and perhaps other ITSM or CMDB type toolings. Hopefully this was useful to you. Please do let us know if you'd like some additional information. Just drop by the webpage and request a demo. Thanks very much. Bye.